Hello, I'm back. Yeah, Blitz Action. There's been a bit of chat about Blitz Actions in the intervening period, and yeah, it's tricky. Blitz is moved. Blitz is talked about in three different sort of places. So uh, it's on it's on page 59 is where it's first mentioned, um, and then some other stuff as well. Yeah. So tricky stuff. Um, so we're going to sort of. I've got about an hour left or so until the kids turn up, but good progress through the book, doing well. Um, so inducements. So I need to put these in my spreadsheet, I think, because there aren't actually that many of them. So I'll stick these ones in. I've got a spreadsheet for league play and for tournament play as well. And the problem I had when I was doing it before was that each of the spikes had um, different inducements in. So, but I think if I limit myself to common inducements, then that can be cool. So we've got cheerleaders are 20k each. So this is a strange one because our league has been doing this. Um, so our league has been doing this for ages and ages and ages. Where you can induce a cheerleader or a coach for 20k instead of having a rostered one for 10k. Weather Mage is 30k, which I think was in the previous one. Kegs are still 50k. You've got special plays and extra. Oh right, special plays are cards basically. I wonder which ones are mentioned in here. So basically, to use special plays, which are 100k each, you have to have the cards. Extra team training is rerolls, that's fine. Bribes, yep. Um, Wandering Apothecary is the same. Igor is now called a mortuary assistant. A plague doctor is a new thing and basically is the same as a mortuary assistant, I think. Plague doctor can reroll regen. Yeah, exactly. So mortuary assistant. So plague doctor is actually better. So plague doctor can heal a knocked out, whereas a mortuary assistant or an Igor cannot do that. So I'm not quite sure why plague doctors get a bit of a bonus on there. Riotous Rookies. So Riotous Rookies is where you actually I might as well skip ahead. I'll do that in a minute. Master Chef is the same, but yeah, it's much the same. Then you got star players, coaching staff, wizard, and biased referee. Um, so that's all good. It's got temporary stuff here. The weather mage can basically change the weather, and you get to add one or add two. It's only 30k. Kegs, special play cards. They won't come up very often, but it'll be interesting the interaction between. Yeah, absolutely. So old spike inducements and the new edition. So I'm not quite sure that one. Um, so I'm not quite so. I don't know. It'll be up to leagues and it'll be up to tournaments. So that's not something that Games Workshop or the NAF or anyone can rule on in terms of inducements. So the NAF might say common inducements are in play, but then every single tournament has been allowed to use inducements or not completely anyway. So it's not really something for a ruling on. So I think our league will say just the rule book. But we'll have to see how that goes. To be honest, I'm not a huge fan of weird inducements anyway, but other people are, so I'm not going to spend very much time on strange inducements. Bribes is an interesting one. So bribery and corruption is a special rule. So we'll get onto those when we talk about teams. I think the Master Chef, star players, so coaching staff is Joseph Bugman, and the Wizard and so the Sports Wizard. Oh, so you get infamous coaching staff, which seems to be right. Okay, so you get 0 to 2 infamous coaching staff, but then the infamous coaching staff you can hire will depend on your team, and that's just going to have to come out through the spikes. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what Games Workshop do with the spikes and how quickly they get them out, because they could fire a load out quickly. Because all they need to do is to adjust the inducements and adjust the star players, I think. um, or they might take a long time again and sort of stagger them out again. So that'll be interesting to see what happens over the next sort of 2 years or so. Especially with if there are still any ongoing COVID production problems, then producing a load of quick spikes would be easy to do, I think. Assuming books can still be produced. Um, yeah, so inducements are going to be a bit weirdy, so I'm not going to spend long on those at all. Skip over those. League play. So it's got a section on league play now, which it sort of did before, but basically any league can do whatever it likes. So I'm not necessarily going to yeah, death roll a +2 dirty player, absolutely. So I think Calcium. I think you should have +2 dirty player whenever you play as a house rule. So it talks about the regular season, and this is interesting. This is going to happen in lots of leagues. Basically, I think ours probably is going to give it a go, but that's still to be decided. Because the big thing is redrafting. So league scoring, do whatever you like. Prizes, do whatever you like. That's a suggestion. Any league can do what it wants. But I think redrafting is going to be a thing. Um, so you basically, and I probably should have read this one beforehand because it's a bit complicated. So you get 1 million, and then you get 20k for each game you played, and an extra 20k for each game you won, and an extra 10k for each game you drew. And then league commissioners may, at their own discretion, we can do whatever we like at our own discretion. Thank you very much. We can You can put a cap on it. So basically, you get a load of treasury to redraft players. So everyone leaves, and then you redraft. And basically, in terms of players, you get their current value plus 20k for each previous season, which is really complicated. So we're going to have a big conversation within the league, and each league's going to have this conversation about what redraft happens. Um, because each league's going to have to do their own thing depending on how many games they have in a season, and also there's going to be all sorts of variables going on. I know it's going to be implemented on Fumble, and there's been a little bit of stroppiness about that, but so it's sort of nice to have it codified, I guess, but I can see that being tweaked a fair amount. But I guess one thing to do is to give it a go to start with, and then see what happens after that. Redraft cross for a plus strength player will be huge, absolutely. So 80k for a plus strength, plus the 20 for the previous season. It's just bonkers. Um, Niggles. So what does it say? So including any niggle injuries. If the player has any niggle injuries, roll a d6. Add one if the team has an apothecary. All right. So the redrafting of the temporarily retired is for characteristic reductions. So niggles can get removed automatically and at the end of the season, and then characteristic reductions can be changed as well. Lots of dice rolling and lots of dice rolling in the off season, which is obviously everyone in my league is completely trustworthy, but you would have to either have like if everyone in your league was not completely trustworthy, then this whole section here is problematic. It's like, oh yeah, all my niggles went away. It's fine. Oh yeah, that characteristic reduction that was fine as well. Um, is there any other? No, there's no other randomness, but I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one. Maybe they'll have to maybe we can have a day where everyone redrafts their own things. Exhibition place. So this page and the 3 pages is all about tournaments. So it's suggestions about how tournaments. Well, this page here I think is about how tournaments do work at the moment. Um, yeah, dedicated fans. It's all inducement. Yeah. So this is all to do with how tournaments work for those people who don't know how tournaments work already. And then you've got a new prayers to Nuffle table. So in this prayers to Nuffle table, stalling is not mentioned at all. And here, end of half, end of drive, um, end of game, end of drive, end of drive, end of drive, end of game. And so these ones happen so there's more of a mixture of end of game and end of drive ones on there, and this just happens on cheering fans basically. So it will happen on a 6 on the kickoff table. But I did. Well, we'll see if there's anything that sort of breaks the game in there. So actually, this is a bit more important, a bit shorter. So we'll quickly run through. So a 1 removes a player from the from the pitch, basically. So you play with 10 players instead of 11, for example, on a 1. Oh no, just the trapdoor. Oh right, so it's just the trapdoor. Okay, so that makes the trapdoor do something on the new pitches. So I'm gonna have to put a trapdoor. I'm gonna have to draw a trapdoor on my old pitch. Unless it's no, it does on there because it's a BB16 one. No, it's fine. It's got trapdoors. We're good. 5 or a 6 is so argue the call becomes 5 or 6 instead of a 6. Stiletto is one player gets stabbed, so that's fine, not broken, but good fun. Iron Man, so you get +1 armor on one person. Knuckle Dusters, mighty blow on a person. Bad habits get loner 2+, so that's not broken at all. It's just a minor irritation. Loner 2+ is 2 or more to be able to use a reroll. So yeah, it's just a minor thing. Greasy cleats, that's -1 move on the opposition, and then Blessed Statue of Nuffle, someone gets pro. So yeah, just minor things. So all good fun. Cool picture of an ogre against a dwarf. Yep. So regional special rules. So this is I like this quite a lot. Is that they've so that more than one rule can apply to more than one team. So that a rule can apply to more than one team. They've given each team a rule. So, for example, Sylvanian Spotlight or World's Edge Super League or all these sort of things. And this basically says star players play for these teams, and you also get sometimes you get yeah. So you've got regional special rules where you get star players and some inducements. So Halfling Thimble Cup is the thing that allows the Master Chef to be cheaper for halflings and so on. And regional special rules are actually just the same as team special rules. They have the same thing. So you can have like one of these and one of these, or you can just have one of these. I think everyone's got one of these, but then some teams have got these as well. So low cost lineman is the new disposable on snotlings. Bribery and corruption is you get cheaper bribes, and the new Black Orcs have got that as well. Favoured of is currently just Nurgle, but Khorne and Tzeentch maybe coming, I guess, at some point. So Nurgle's the only one that does anything at the moment. Masters of Undeath gives you the Necromancer, so that's where the Necromancer is described. So the Necromancer is described after the Igor, so that's not ideal, but sometimes these things happen. And again, it just refers to it. So we've got tiers here, tier 1, 2, 3. So previously this was just a paragraph at the end of the. Previously this was just a paragraph at the end of the rosters. Now each team says this is tier 1, 2, or 3. Some tournaments may take account of that or not. Most tournaments, I guess, will make up their own tiers, as they always have done if they are tiered at all. Team values for the NAF. Might be like 1 point. I wouldn't have thought they would go up. Right. So because in a exhibit, someone's asking about whether it's going to be 1.1 million. Exhibition play says that they found that 1.15 million is an ideal size. That's probably because they were Lineman players or Necro players, where 1.15 was a nice number. Necro at 1.15 always gave you enough toys. I don't know. I haven't looked at the. I haven't done a change yet of how much the players used to cost and how much they cost now, and so how much an equivalent thing would cost. But Joe is around. Yeah, the book suggests 1.15, absolutely. So between 1.1 and 1.3. But I think there was enough variability within tournaments anyway. I think probably it'll just take a year, and then things will settle down. So it's a bit of statistical analysis I haven't done. Is what is the team value of the different numbers of tournaments? Yeah, don't know. So team tiers, right? So quick run through the teams. Black Orcs are new, come in the box with grab and so on. So they've got bribery and corruption, so they get cheaper bribes. That's what that one does. And Badlands Brawl. So So basically, these regional special rules don't have any special rules in themselves. They're just used as references for star players. And then the actual special rules, the team special rules, have rules with them. So that's the difference between the two. So Chaos Chosen can use one of their special rules. The only one that does anything at the moment is Nurgle. So we'll see what happens with those. They've now got Chaos have now got a choice of a troll or an ogre as well. As a Minotaur. Lots of people didn't like the Minotaur, so I think ogres and trolls will be quite common, especially as they're both cheaper than the Minotaur. And I think trolls have become a bit better with their projectile vomit as well, because obviously the problem with the troll was it was a turnover magnet. So one option is just to keep the troll in the middle and then just vomit every turn, so that you don't. I suppose you can't get any star player points from it, so it makes it harder to skill up. But it doesn't cause a turnover as well. So we'll probably see that quite a lot, just sort of like a war machine in the middle of the pitch. If you come close to it, all good fun. Chaos Renegades get a Rat Ogre as well. So I think people will do that for a while. So you're going to get 3 out of the 4 on the Chaos Renegades team. So that's a thing. Quite expensive Rat Ogre. And then you've got Dark Elves, yeah, we've got a boost to the Assassin, is move faster, as we saw before. What else have we got? Cool, we got Dwarfs. Dwarfs haven't changed at all, I don't think. So the Death Roll has got more expensive. It's got Dirty Player +2 now. There were people wondering whether they would go to the Old World Alliance Dwarf variation, which has armbar and brawler instead of block and tackle. But no, they've kept dwarfs as vanilla as you like. Elven Union have stayed pretty much have stayed the same. Goblins. So goblins are a funny one. We'll get onto the star players in a minute, but they've had quite a lot of changes. If you're a goblin player, then you are used to using lots of special rules anyway. So you'll just have to adapt to some new special rules. Halfling. What's interesting for me on the halflings is so halflings have now got a hefties. Hefties were always leader caddies with their passing characteristic, but now they've actually got a passing skill of 3+, and I don't think that stunty affects the passing thing. So let's have a quick look. Passing. Strength skill, passing skills. I know it's a trait, isn't it? In traits, stunty. So the only thing is that it's more likely to be intercepted or interfered. So that's the negative they get. But apart from that, so it is possible for the passers for hefties to throw the ball reasonably reliably now. Once they get some passing skills, because they got 3+, and then catchers are catching, and they've got catch, so they're actually catchers. So that's something you might see, and there's no particular limit on range and that sort of thing as well. So it's for those halfling players out there, you might see your passing game boost. Humans have got better passers as well now, because they've got 2+ throwers, and they've got halflings as well for that throw teammate option. So humans have had a marginal boost, and also, as previously described, you'll see blitzers with break tackle as well, because they'll be dodging on 2s, whereas break tackle was completely irrelevant before. Here are the feathery chaps, who. So that's interesting, yeah. So these ones come in the box. They are a replacement for the Bretonnian team. In the same way, actually, I didn't mention the Blackhawks. They're a sort of rip-off of the Simian team, because they had 4 gorillas with grab before. So the multi-grab was always the Simian thing, and now it's been put onto the Blackhawks. But that's fine. These are Bretonnians, but a bit worse, because they've only got 2 blitzers instead of 4 blitzers. But they have got an ogre to make up for it. And no Dauntless on the blitzers either. I played Imperial Nobility against Blackhawks the other day, and it was really noticeable that Dauntless was was not available anymore because they're playing against 6 strength 4 players out of the box, literally out of the box. So a bit of a blow for them on that point of view. Lizards have still got those chameleon skinks. Yeah, it'll be good to put together some sort of tournament rosters for these. I haven't done that yet. Might do that at some point. Just say, okay, well, actually, yeah, I've got a spreadsheet. Inevitably, I've got a spreadsheet somewhere that just has a basic team constructor. So you say, I want 4 Saurus, I want 2 skinks, and it tells you the cost. So I'll need to update that for this rulebook, and then have a look at some standard builds for it, basically. Necro. So this is my new box. Woohoo! Got the new box. Yay! Swag. Yay! Well done for me for buying swag. But I've actually got a Necro team on the painting table already, so I'm just taking the wraiths out of that painting table. The wraiths are not in this picture, but they are bed sheets, and that they're going to be quite interesting to learn how to use. So that'd be cool. Nurgle. Fine. Don't know really much about the costs and how that's going to affect things. So ogres have, yeah. So they've retained the low cost lineman, which was the old disposable. So if you look at Noblars, you could say, oh no, they've lost disposable, but is there on low cost lineman, which obviously doesn't affect tournament play, but will affect league play in terms of the amount of inducements they get. And then Old World Alliance have got a tree man now. And now them all having loner makes a bit more sense because they've got loner 3+. They've got the most skills in the game, animosity of all sorts. So yeah, funny old team there. And the dwarfs have now got where are the dwarfs? The blockers they haven't even got block anymore either. So they've got armbar and brawler. Whereas the blitzers have still got block and the troll stairs have still got block as well. Orcs, so orcs have changed a fair bit. So they've got animosity. Throwers are basically a bit useless now. I'm just going to check actually. What is an animosity? Is that 4+? Probably it is. Let's have a look. Animosity. Oh no, sorry, it's not 4+. It's 2+. Duh, sorry. So animosity is a 2+ to throw to anyone. So that just scuppers the throwing game, but it wasn't really a throwing game for orcs anyway. So not the end of the world by any means. The troll on the orc team is untrained, so retains 4+ loner on there, whereas on the goblin team it is a trained troll, so it has a 3+ loner, and I think Snotlings is a trained troll as well. So it's interesting that the troll on the Snotling and goblin team is better than the troll on the orc team. Don't know why goblins or Snotlings would be better at training trolls. Maybe they're more patient. Maybe they've got more to gain. Blackhawks on this team have become big uns, and I've got move 5 instead of 4. So again, there have been sort of significant cost changes happening here. So an extra 10k on that one, is that right? And then 5k on that one. So so an extra exercise to put together a new roster for each of those. Shambling undead. Well, obviously the points have all changed, but apart from that, they're much of a muchness. Skaven are possibly a team that's going to have one of the biggest sort of changes in how they play, because gutter runners are no longer going to be chucking the ball around the pitch anymore. Because they've now got throwers who can throw on a 2+. So if you want to throw with but they're still picking up on a 3+. So lots of people just use the throwers as leader caddies, and they would pick up with gutter runners and they might pick up with throwers to start with, but then soon a gutter runner would get sure hands, and then they'd pick up and carry with the gutter runner, which they can still do, but it means that the gutter runner won't be able to throw it to people very easily in order getting rid of it. So they'll have to hand off. So yeah, a minor impact, I imagine, actually, thinking about it. Snotlings are still here. Yeah, fine. Underworld Challenge. What did Underworld Challenge do? Right, so that's 2 regional special rules. So they've got Underworld Challenge is their regional special rule, and then they get cheap bribes and they get 0 cost Snotlings, Snotling linemen. But obviously the other things do cost money. Calculated TV and TV. Underworld, obviously we got this change as a result of what's on the sprue, which is a bit of a blow. But the big thing for them is they've got snotlings now as well, which is actually a bit of a boost because snotlings are a bit rubbish, but you can have them in your team, and then they can come onto the pitch. So you can have 14 players on the pitch. Let's check swarming actually. So swarming, let's just to get this one right. So swarming gives you an extra D3 players on the pitch. Yeah. So I think Underworld are going to get better because having 14 players on the pitch is better than having 11 players on the pitch, even if those are not very interesting players. They can also have a rat ogre, which makes sense because they've got Skaven on their team. But so one out of these two. So that's a new thing for this rule set is being able to choose your big guy out of the two. Wood Elves, obviously we've talked about the nerf to leaping. And then also it's only the throwers who throw on a 2+ now for Wood Elves. Everyone else is on a 4+, so that might change their style of play. It might change their ability to get out of trouble, that sort of thing. Star players. So there's, I think, so let's do a quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13. Someone knows the answer already. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23 star players, depending on if you count these two as 2 or whatever. So there has been a Infinity War style culling of star players, only to the ones who have miniatures that are currently available from Games Workshop. I said that, and then someone pointed out Frank. But Frank is in the Necro spike. So the ones in the rulebook absolutely are the ones who have miniatures available. So Zolcath has just appeared from Forge World for a remortgage price, but obviously lots of miniatures available for Zolcath because Zotes have been around for a long time. Although I don't think I have one. I might need to make a Zote somehow. A Zote is basically a lizard man centaur in a way. So the big thing with star players is they've all got this special rule. And lots of star players now will come with a token to show whether they've used that special rule this game or not. So Lord Borax had one since 2019, which indicates that this rules have been in the offing since then, which isn't a surprise to anyone. So the issue with these star players is that some really good ones have gone. So Bron's pointing out on the chat that so I assume why they weren't alphabetical, but it's because the white dwarf comes under W rather than Gromberdraff. Agree. So Rumbelow. Bron's. Oh no, Bron's pointing out that there is no Rumbelow miniature. I don't know. I thought there was. Yeah. Anyway, so I thought that all the ones in here were ones that had miniatures. So I don't know about Rumbelow. Not an expert. But the annoying thing about there is that basically, so there are some players who have gone. So you might say that Noble has gone, but then you've got Helmut who will play for any team, whereas he used to play for the humans. But Helmut is not as good as Nobler, I don't think, because he doesn't have block and dodge basically. So he's easier to knock down. Despite being strength 3 instead of strength 2. Star players in general have been made cheaper, I think, although I haven't done the analysis on that. That's just what the chat is. And then what? So what's happened with the star players in general is that they're able to play for more players. So what you can see here is that Grim. So Old World Classic is the big one. So this is dwarfs, halflings, humans. And so you've got lots of players who were able to play for these teams who couldn't do before. So you've got Carla Von Kill, Old World Classic. She can play for dwarves now as well. You've got Mighty Zug, Old World Classic. So he'll play for dwarves. So dwarves are going to see star players, and they're going to see cheaper ones as well. You might also see things like the white dwarf appearing and the black gobbo because they can play for players now. They're not sort of special star players anymore. So if tournaments now say, right, these are the star players you're allowed to use, then it might be worth having I don't know, Black Gobbo on there. He's got a bombardier. He's still quite expensive for what he is, I think. if your team includes the Black Goblin, you can commit 2 foul actions per team turn. Oh, this is one for Jip because foul bowl is a thing. So there used to be a thing where the maximum number of fouls you could do in a 4-game tournament was 64 without any blitzes. But now you could do 2 foul actions. So it'd be like the foul bowl is definitely going to have the Black Gobbo in attendance, which would be cool. Good to see Eldril is still around. Yeah, Hypnotic Gaze and stuff. I don't think there are any brand new star players. It'll be interesting to see if these ones turn up a bit more. So Glorial is a bit cheaper now, I think. So basically they've got cheaper, so they'll be used more often. And it will be interesting to see how that affects everything. And then we have made it to the index, which I love. I love an index. And there are some things with capital letters and some things with small letters. But there we go. And then we got a picture at the end, which is lovely. Awesome. So there we go. Oh, broken the acorn. White Dwarf is broken, is he? Interesting. Let's have a look. I was not aware of that. So 210 for strength 3, block, dauntless, lone, and mighty blow. Special rules: wisdom of the team once per team turn. Oh, that's so nasty. So once per team turn, one player gains either break, tackle, dauntless, mighty blow, or sure feet until the end of their activation. So it's basically sort of giving one person mighty blow. Nah, that's all right. That's fine. Yeah, it's useful, but oh yeah, Acorn, and then there are other star players who are going to turn up occasionally, like Acorn, but we won't talk about them because they're not in the lovely rulebook. So that was good fun, I think. So I hope people enjoyed it. I'll stick it on the YouTubes once I've figured out some editing, but I will call it a day there. And thank you very much, everyone who watched. And who knows if I'll ever do this again. It was a bit mad, but I took a day off. And I'm allowed to do that because I'm an adult. Fab. All right. Cheerio, everyone. Bye, Joe.